hardest part is figuring out what you want to master.
Focus on your product.
Can you tell somebody that they suck?
You gotta just go, this is exactly what I want to do for a living.
You can't even tell somebody that their breath is fit life.
Charlie.
What's up, brother?
What's up, man?
Man, life's good.
You just walked in here and we just had a moment of reminiscing. And that moment was that I saved your life.
You saved me. So when I met you, I was managing 2 Chainz.
Yep.
And it was the only time when I was at this office building, beautiful office building on Wilshire Boulevard. It's the only time in my life I had to beg people for money.
Yeah.
And when I pulled back up, it brought back so many memories, and I was laughing all the way up the elevator because I was like, oh my goodness, like I actually was being treated like an animal.
Yep.
Standing outside this building begging people for money because I came to visit D,
Yep.
who's 2 offices over. And I met you. I think that was the first time I ever met you. You know, shook hands, said what's up. And I go downstairs. I parked in the parking lot adjacent. And they only
Because we validate.
You validate.
Yep.
And I parked over there, and they only accept cash.
Yep.
So I had another meeting I had to rush to get to. So I don't have an ATM card. I don't have any cash. So I'm like literally out on the street, like saying, "Oh, would you happen to have the parking lot? $20, whatever it costs." And like old ladies clutching their purse, like treating me like an animal.
Yeah.
And I'm like asking 10, 20. I go into the coffee shop downstairs. Could I possibly borrow some money? Like I gotta pay. People treated me like I was crazy. And then you walk up and say, "What's up, Charlie?" And I'm like, I'm in a tough spot. I've been out here begging for money, and I've never had to do that. But that actually formed some crazy empathy for people who are struggling and need money, because you literally, even as 2 Chainz' manager, somebody who's successful, people will look at you as an animal.
Yeah. And you didn't look crazy. You didn't look homeless. You just look like a normal guy who couldn't pay his parking.
That's right.
It's crazy, man. That might be a good exercise for people, like to go out and try to raise $20. It could give you a lot of perspective. But it's funny because I didn't remember. I remembered meeting you, and like I told you, like I remembered meeting you, and then I remembered, your story started popping up a lot online, and I remember just being like, damn, that's Charlie who we met. That's crazy. And me and Dee would talk about it, but I never remembered that part of the story until you just reminded me.
Man, can I give you your money back?
No,
you gave me $20.
Not. Nope, I will not take it. That is all yours.
Thank you, man.
Of course. So let's get into it, Charlie, man. I'm really excited to have you on here. And I think that like I said, it's cool. I'm trying to put this into words. Like I think in the music business and the business that we both, have played in, a lot of times you meet people and then you kind of see them from afar go and turn into superstars or whatever it may be. And it's kind of cool to be like, damn, like I met him before and now look at what he made of this. And I think on some level that also happened with you. And you're the only person that I think that I've ever met that sort of went on this like life health transformation that I had met previous to that, right? And that's a really interesting like feeling. And I think that I started seeing all the news stories about it in the YouTube video that you made and all that stuff. And I was like, damn, that's, it's crazy. That's Charlie, And so I'm really excited now for this to come full circle, for you to be back in this office with plenty of money for parking and be able to tell this story on this podcast that I launched, right?
Yeah, man.
So what I want to do, I think, for the sake of the story is I want to go all the way back to how you went from just being a normal dude, like what the journey was from normal guy all the way up to becoming 2 Chainz manager and doing all that stuff, right? What was the first part of the story? So where are you from? Give me childhood. What did that look like?
For sure, man. I grew up Atlanta, Georgia, home of hip hop. I love basketball, sports, basketball. You couldn't tell me nothing. But I was the chubby kid. But when you have a dream, your dream as a kid is not something you exactly choose.
Yep.
It's kind of like solitaire on a Windows computer. It's just already there. Like it's just in there already. So I love sports.
Yep.
I was fat though. Like when I would play shirts versus skins, and if I got picked as skins, I would like drop out of the game.
Yep.
Or if I'm at the pool, I never took my shirt off, which is kind of weird because even with your shirt on at the pool, people could see you're fat, so you're really not like covering it up. But it's just that insecurity as a kid, and as I got older, I needed something to be good at, to where, okay, these guys, they're good at football or basketball. I'm like, man, what am I going to be good at? And I thought entrepreneurship was cool, not culturally, because at the time, being an entrepreneur isn't like it is today.
Yeah.
But like my dad, like my mom, they sold vacuum cleaners. And to me, I didn't know any better. I didn't know that was looked down upon in society as like a door-to-door salesman. I was like, that's cool. They're making money. Like they could sell a vacuum cleaner for $2,000 and walk away with $400. Like, that's exciting to me. More so than like a job that pays you hourly.
Yeah, I get that.
So I was like, I'm gonna be CEO Charlie. 8 years old, I put on my suit. I wear it to school every day. Dropped the backpack, picked up the suitcase.
I just want to show you real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt the flow, but
It's all good.
you texted me. Was it 2017? No. Did we meet March 2017? Is that when it was before that, right?
It was before that.
Okay, well, either way, when you text me today, because this is a new phone with a new phone number, but my last text from you was March 2015. You said, CEO Charlie.
Huh.
Yep.
March 2017?
That was probably after that day. We must have got connected for some other reason.
That's what happened.
But the point was, the only reason why I stopped to point that out is because you really like owned the CEO Charlie thing. And I remember that when you were in here.
Well, what I would do is I would like try to create a character for myself, like a superhero. Like CEO Charlie was going to be like the superhero that makes me a successful businessman. And I would dress up for it. I would give him a name, and I became it. You know, as time went on, I'm in high school, and I created all sorts of like websites. I had a business partner in New York, and
was that like another kid or
another kid?
Yep.
So
and you met online or something?
Met online, and I remember like I told my mom, and I said, Ma, like I want to go to New York, and she said, why? I said, well, my business partner lives in New York. She said, you have a business partner? I'm like, yeah, remember that PayPal account I was asking y'all for the social security number? It's because we have an online business. And I remember like when I wanted to open a PayPal account, like I'm like knocking on my dad. Like he's like in the bathroom taking a dump. I'm like, Dad, I need your social security number. He's like, for what? I'm like, open up a PayPal account. What's PayPal? He's like, you can send money through the internet. He said, that sounds sketchy. You can't send money through the internet. I'm like, no, I got a business. So I'm asking my mom, want to go to New York. I have to convince her. It's not easy to convince her of things. Very tough woman. And she said, who are you going to go see? It's like, my business partner. She said, who is he? I said, his name is Khan. She said, Khan? Oh, Lord. I said, no, Khan. And she said, how old is he? I said, he's 16, like me. She said, does he live with his parents? I was like, no, he lives in a basement in Brooklyn by himself, but he's got his own place. And my mom was not having it. She's like, what are y'all doing? Well, we're selling like clothes and stuff online. We have a website called Fashion on Fire and kicksonfire.com. And I finally convinced her to let me go to New York. And she's like at the airport, like crying. And, me and Khan, we started a hip hop website as well called spityogame.com.
Yep.
And I'm in high school. The clothing was doing good. The sneaker blog was doing good. And the music website was starting to take off. In Atlanta, the dance movement was crazy. Yep. So
and what did you do on the site? Like mixtapes and stuff? Or?
It was streaming first and foremost. So it's like I envisioned, having a player that people could, like artists can have like more than, 100 songs on, where MySpace would only let you have 8. Yep. So I was like, music streaming, like I need to create a player that's embeddable so people could actually put it on their MySpace page and have hundreds of songs. And I would also film. I was like a media outlet. So I was like a cameraman and like running around. And I graduated from high school. All my friends are starting to rap. I'm making their videos. Websites getting a whole bunch of hits. And I just went to pay for my books. And I got a phone call. And it's a 323 number. I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. I'm like, oh my goodness, Los Angeles is calling me. And I answer the phone. standing in the local community college, by the way, standing in the lobby, and hey, this is Brian Washington from Interscope Records. Is this Charlie? I said, yeah. He said, we just signed a new artist, and he wants you to be his cameraman and go on tour. I said, I'm down. And then I realized, I got to ask my mom first. I said, well, let me go home, talk to my mom, just make sure I can get permission, and, I'll call you back. So I leave the school, drive home. Ma, she said, yeah? I said, I just got a call from Interscope. They want me to go on tour with a rapper. And I could just imagine what's going on through her head. My sweet baby. Like, rap, drugs, sex, girls, tour. Like, she was like, I can only imagine what's going on in a mom's head. And I'm like, no, this is a great opportunity. The artist's name is Soulja Boy. He's got a big dance song that's starting to bubble. And I'll be on tour for I'll be on tour for months. And she said, you know what? Sometimes when an opportunity opens, you got to walk through that door.
Wow. God bless her for letting you, you know what I mean? Go to New York.
I know, right?
That'd be scary as a mom.
Totally. And, she was tough cookie. There was one other time I had to convince her of something crazy, and it was when I was 12. So I was suing this guy at 12, for a saxophone. Like CEO Charlie was like.
So you were already, when did you actually become CEO Charlie?
8.
And when did you ditch the backpack and grab a briefcase?
8.
Oh, man. So CEO Charlie was the real deal.
I wanted to be successful. Like, I thought it was cool. I wanted money, Who
were your main, heroes at 8?
I was, like my grandfather, Peter Lynch, One Up on Wall Street. Like, I would read stock books. Like, I just was fascinated by money.
Got it. And then why were you suing a guy for a saxophone?
So I bought a saxophone.
Okay.
And I didn't like it anymore. It was stupid. I was like, this isn't cool. I'd rather play basketball.
Don't play saxophone.
And so put it on classified ads. And this guy calls, wasn't getting many hits on it. So guy calls, said, I'll buy it, but I need a payment plan. His name was Jason Bart. I'll never forget this guy. He stopped paying me after the second payment. And luckily I had a little contract drew up, on Windows 95, printed it out. We both signed it.
And your parents don't know that any of this happened?
No, my dad was actually helping me with this.
Okay.
And he stopped paying me, so I tell my dad, Pops, man, let's sue him, man. I need my money. Like, he owed me $500 or something.
Yeah.
It's like, I need my money. And small claims court, we sue him. We're at court, and he doesn't show up. I'm like, Dad, what do we do?
And just for the sake of the story, did you walk into court with a suit and a briefcase?
100%.
Okay.
So we're there. Doesn't show up. Look at my dad. What do we do? And he's like, well, technically, they might get the sheriff involved, and they can knock on it, serve him papers, things like that, because he technically lost the case. But I'm just thinking, I ain't got my money.
Yeah.
I need my money. So, a couple weeks pass, and I got this FedEx envelope in the mail that had my name on it. And it's like, this is a big deal, 12-year-old kid, getting a FedEx thing. Who's this from?
Yeah.
It's from New York. It said CBS or something. I'm like, what in the world? I open it up, and there's this letter, and it says, we saw your court case. We want to make sure your saxophone gets paid for. We want to make sure you have all paid for trip to New York. You'll be picked up in a black car. You'll be staying at the Park Central Hotel. And this letter was from Judge Hatchett, Courtroom Television. And I'm thinking,
They sent a letter to a 12-year-old?
I mean, it was me and my father on it, but it was addressed to Charlie Jabley.
Yeah.
And I'm reading it, and it's crazy. They probably selected my case because I was, underage. It's good for television.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking, I'm going to New York. I'm going to be on TV.
Yeah.
We got a trip. I'm telling my parents, this is the best thing that ever happened.
Yeah.
And they're looking at me like, boy, that white trash television, we're not doing that. And I don't understand what white trash television is.
Yeah.
I just understand television.
Yeah.
So that was the hardest thing I had to convince my parents of.
And did they do it?
They did. And the footage exists somewhere out there in the world. Whoever
Holy
finds
cow.
it, you know.
It was on television?
Oh, it reran so many times.
And were you in court with a suit on?
Oh, Judge Hatchett was like, "You wrote this contract?" I was like, "Yeah." She said, "You write contracts better than some attorneys I know."
Oh my God. How is that not like, how is that not, you don't post it or anything? Oh my God.
I've got the
12-year-old CEO Charlie in court would have been incredible. And you won on TV?
I won. And they gave me my money and everything.
Oh man.
So here I am having to convince my mom I want to go on tour with a rapper. She lets me go. I'm on top of the world, bro. Like, I'm literally like,
I can imagine.
Soulja Boy's song went from nothing to #1 in the world, breaking every record. I'm in the Soulja Girl music video with the, camera, like, cameo. Like, I'm his celebrity cameraman, like, literally in the video. He gave me this diamond chain, like this, like back then it was like the little Boosie. I called them little Boosie chains, but it's like this diamond chain with all. It's just like a flat chain. Yeah. And Soulja Boy let me wear it. He wanted his team to look good. Yeah. And one day he asked for it back. He said, "Oh, that chain, I want to go get it cleaned." I was like, "Yeah, sure. I didn't think anything of it. I felt naked without it. I cherished it so much."
How long had you worn it for?
4 or 5 months.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And the next day, we were supposed to go to Jimmy Kimmel. We're in Atlanta. It's October 4th, 2007. Remember the date.
Yep.
We're supposed to go to Jimmy Kimmel, which is in L.A., and I didn't get my itinerary. So this is strange. So I'm calling Soulja Boy, I call Arab, I call the management. Nobody's answering the phone. So I just am proactive. I go on to the airport myself. I'll run into, like something's,
Yeah, there's a mistake.
A mistake.
Yeah.
There for hours. And I realized, I think I'm fired. This is weird. The chain, He took the chain back. Nobody's communicating. The Jimmy Kimmel thing is on the books. Like, there's no way I'm not going to, it's no way he's not going to Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah. It's just everybody stopped communicating with me.
And nobody was at the airport?
Couldn't find him.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and I go home, and I tell my mom, I said, "Ma, I think I'm fired because nobody's communicating. It's too funny business." Yeah. And she said, "Well, if you're not going to be in school, you got to pay rent."
That was her response.
I was like, "Ma, I just got fired." Like, she said, "Yeah, either you go to school, but if you're going to live in this house, you got to pay rent."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
mom.
I said, "Ma, I got an idea. So being out on that road, I got to see who was making the real money.
Yep.
And it ain't the cameraman.
It's not.
I'm going to be a manager." And she said, "Boy, what do you know about managing artists?" I said, "I think I'm going to be great at it. I'm going to be the best. I'm 19 years old. I'm going to be the best in the world." And
where did you get that spirit? Like, is your dad like that, or?
No, my parents were very just like super conservative. We've shopped at thrift stores. Yeah. But I have an imagination of a child. I think that's my gift, is I don't have a measuring stick. Yeah. Like, even fast forward to now, like when I retired from music and walked away from the music industry, I told 2 Chainz, "I'm going to be an athlete." Yeah. He said, what does that mean? Like, because it doesn't make sense. Yeah. But it's like, that's my child imagination. Yeah. Like, even the other.
Interesting, man. It's a gift. It's a real gift. Because I think a lot of what holds people back is the inability to, you hear a lot about like self-limiting beliefs and all that stuff on, all these self-help things. And it's like, I think that what holds a lot of people back is not being able to see themselves even better than they are today or different than they are today. You're able to imagine like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to go to Mars. And you know what I mean? And like in 3 years, if you said that now, I'm like, this guy's going to be on Mars.
Yeah, man.
So you're 19, you're like, I'm going to be a manager. I'm going to be the best manager
ever.
And then what do you do? What's step 1?
There was this girl group who, like, I had this vision for. It was like Disney version of Outkast girl group. Yeah. I was like, they can rap, they can sing, they were eclectic. I was like, we're going big. And Soulja Boy didn't like me. He fired me because I was telling him he was doing things wrong. Yeah. And
how'd you find that out?
Well, it's like 2-3 weeks later, they finally communicated with me. And it was just like, I mean, I get it. I'm fired. They're like, yeah, come pick up your last paycheck or whatever. I wasn't even mad at them. Like, I never get mad at people.
But that was why, because you were just
yeah, I was
real.
I was telling him he was messing up, and a cameraman's not supposed to tell superstar rapper he's screwing up.
That's true. Okay, so take me to the girl group. Sorry.
Signed the girl group. And I told him, I said, you sign this management contract, I'm going to get you a big old record deal. I'm going to make y'all stars. Like, I'm like living the like movie scene, like in their grandma's living room. Like, I'm going to make you stars. And they signed it. And I called old Brian Washington over at Interscope Records and College Park Music and everybody. And I said, I've got this girl group. And they said, Charlie, we believe in you. Whatever you say is going to go, we're going to take a chance on. Really? And they committed to signing the girl group within 24 hours. And the deal happened. And girl group's on 106 and Park, moving around. And one day, we're in Washington, D.C. And have you ever had somebody like get mad at you for no reason because they're looking for something wrong?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
of course.
And it's the smallest thing. It's like, there's no way you can be mad about that.
Yeah.
So the girls get off stage. And they start cussing me out. And I'm like, what's up? What's wrong? Like, this is great. I got you a show in Washington, D.C. And they say, you didn't get us water when we got off stage. I'm thinking to myself, are you out of your mind? Yeah. Like, I'm not a water boy. I'm a manager. Yeah. Like, if you want water, I'll get you water, but you can't be mad at me. And I go to the airport, and I felt this tension and this pressure. And I know what it feels like to be in an airport and get fired. And I was reliving that.
Airports are like trigger zones.
And they left me for Sierra's manager.
At the airport?
Right after that. Like that tension, they were sending me every signal that it was over.
You got to stay away from airports. I feel like that'd be like just a bad feeling every time you get near an airport. So why? Was that because you were too young? Or?
They said, we're a big group now. We can't have an 18, 19-year-old manager. Wow. Like, so they left me for Falana Williams, big industry manager, manages Sierra. And
how'd that make you feel?
I mean, I went into, like, when I have my states of depression, it's like I get beat up. I, like, do my pity party. I'll, like, lay in bed for a few weeks. Yeah. And the truth of the matter is, with the girl group, I was caught up. I was caught up in the hype. I was caught up in the record labels. Yeah. I was caught up in being cool. And I said, man, losing sucks. Like with Soulja Boy, I was into the diamond chain and feeling myself. Yeah. And then with the girl group, I'm like, yeah, we got record deals. Yeah. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to CEO Charlie. I'm not going to talk to any girls. I'm not going to be distracted. I'm going to sign another group. Yeah. And I'm going to put that suit on, and I'm not going to tell anybody my age. Yeah.
Can I ask you two questions?
Yeah.
Number one, how did you, when you're 18, 19 years old and you're signing a group to a record label, how did you learn how to even do that? Like, how did you learn what a deal should look like? How did you learn how to negotiate? How did you learn that process?
Man, it was, call him OG Carl Washington. Yeah. Down there in East Point, Georgia. Uh-huh. He had a little office, which is like a house, on the side of Cleveland Avenue, like built in like the late 1800s, and papers are everywhere. Mm-hmm. And he was like my old wise man.
Yeah, got it.
And he just saw something in me. He said, I see something in you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, man. And he's the one who gave me the contract to go sign the girl group. And he's the one.
Was he an attorney or what?
He was an attorney.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's so good. Yeah.
Carl Washington.
I don't know. I do this a lot on here, I guess, but it's because I'm trying to kind of draw lessons and like learning experiences from all these stories, right? And I think like another big thing that hinders people is, and I'm probably guilty of this also, is like you just kind of don't know how to do something, and so you don't do it. It's like, I don't know, that's new territory, that's scary, I don't know how to go about that. And I think like even your ability at that age to just go track down OG Carl Washington and be like, yo, man, like, let's get this cracking. Yeah. I'm manager Charlie. Yeah. Like, I think has to be a quality that served you really well.
Yeah.
You know
definitely.
what I mean? And the other thing was, what was the girl group called? Did they ever?
Vistoso Bosses.
Got it. Did they ever blow up or not really?
I mean, to the point of 106 & Park, after I was gone,
Yeah.
it was over. Like, it just went downhill from there.
Yeah. That's what happens when you get rid of manager Charlie.
Yeah, because, I mean, I was out there imposing my will. Like, I didn't know everything, but what I learned from selling vacuum cleaners was, you know, if I'm in a home and I'm demonstrating a vacuum cleaner, somebody asks me a question, my response will be, if I don't know the answer, I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, let me find out that answer for you.
Yeah.
And I'll make a phone call and like come back, and they would respect the honesty. Like, I'm not gonna act like I know what I'm doing, but I do have the will to learn, and it would help in vacuum cleaner sales. And so yes, I would impose my will, and I would be obsessed. You don't need knowledge, and that proved true with 2 Chainz when I wanted to manage him, and he laughed at me. And we'll get to that in the story. But I found this guy group. Their name was Dem Hard Hitters. And
So is this after? Sorry, you went from, you said management's done. I'm gonna be CEO Charlie again. Then this is the next step.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm like, I told my mom, I said, Ma, so girl group fired me, but you know where I went wrong? 2 things. One, I signed a record deal. It blew their heads up too big. I'm not going to do that no more. We're going to keep it independent. And 2, I'm from Atlanta. I need a street artist. I need a group that's from the streets. Like, this is Atlanta. Like, we got to be real, you know? So I was trying to do like the poppy hip hop thing. Like, we're going to keep it real. So I found the exact opposite. There's a group called Dem Hard Hitters. And I approached them. I said, I think y'all really talented. I'm living in my mom's basement. They're living in their mom's house. And I said, y'all just stay loyal to me. I'm going to make you a star, you know? And they were loyal, but there was one thing I had to do first. I said, y'all's name, y'all have to change it because we can't be called Dem Hard Hitters. And they said, you want us to change our names? Like, we have it tattooed on us and everything. I said, yeah. Like, so we're sitting in my mom's basement, and they're brainstorming names, and they came up with something that made no sense. They came up with Travis Porter. And none of their names are Travis or Porter, but it confused people. 3 black guys from the east side of Atlanta named Travis Porter. It worked. And I would drive from every radio station from Jackson, Mississippi to Washington, D.C., standing outside waiting for the program director to come out to just beg him to just give us a shot. I would be on MySpace every day posting thousands of comments, carpal tunnel syndrome, because when you don't have money, like, the only thing you can use is like social media to promote, and me talking to people was free. So I would be promoting, and we worked our way all the way up to have 3 top 20 records in the country without a record deal, to where we had a huge bidding war going on. And I remember one day, wasn't making much money. Money takes a little while to catch up. But I remember I was able to move out of my mom's basement, and I was in this little 500 square foot apartment, like hood, like the desk was from the thrift store, and like, you know, like it cost like $30. Like, but I thought I was doing something because I was out of my mom's basement, and I would be talking to my best friend Tasia on the phone, and when like somebody would call me, I'd say, Tasia, put yourself on mute. And I would put her in so she could listen, and I got a 310 number, and I'm like, what could this be? And I said, Tasia, put yourself on mute. And I answered the phone and said, is this Charlie? I said, yeah. The voice sounded familiar. He said, this is Diddy. I said, I'm calling about Travis Porter. Like what you got going on. I'm like, holy shit, like Diddy's calling me. This is amazing. Like, I mean, who doesn't want Diddy to call? He's like, I want to sign Travis Porter. And I said to him, yeah, like, we're not interested in a record deal right now. And he's like, excuse me? I said, yeah, we're going to keep it independent. Like, I got a plan. He's like kind of taken back by me, but he respected it, you know, but he's a very persistent man. But I let him know up front. I was like, we're not interested. So these records that we have are starting to blow up. Every record label's calling. I'm doing my research on the game. Like, we all kind of know, like, culturally, like, as an artist, you don't want to sign to Diddy.
Yeah.
Like, Bad Boy is like...
And did you know that at that time?
Yeah, totally. Like, just being a part of, like, kids, like, like, Diddy moves on from artists, and Bad Boy, you kind of, he has a little stigma about him. That's not a secret to culture. But you want to talk to him, you want to hang out with him. But there were 4 record labels that I was interested in. All of them had been courting us. And I remember a record label would call and say, we want to fly you up. And I'll be like, knucklehead Charlie. like snotty nose knucklehead CEO Charlie. I'm not going to let you fly us up. Like, I'm going to fly myself up. And then we're going to go around and meet with the other labels, because this is about to be a bidding war. And I'm just letting you know that now. I'm telling this to the record labels, and they're just like, some hated me. Some were like, you know what? This Travis Porter group, they got some potential, so we'll just deal with Charlie. He's got a vision. So I remember we go to New York, and I have the 4 record labels like lined up, meetings back to back to back to back. The bidding war is real. We have a record called Go Shorty Go, top 20 in the country. Like, we're on fire. Our first meeting was with Warner Brothers. And it was early in the morning, just got off the plane. And it was the most boring meeting of all time that Travis Porter fell asleep in the conference room. Like, we're sitting there talking, they're telling us about their label, and Travis Porter is knocked out. And I'm just like, oh no, this trip is off to a bad start. Like, this is not what I envisioned. And then the next meeting is with Monty and Avery Lippman, Universal. And they said, we're going out to Mr. Chow's. And we're from Atlanta. Like, if we go to Benihana's, we're excited. Like, so Mr. Chow's, we had never been to a restaurant like this. And in hip hop, we're intentionally late on purpose, because it's like, no, you're supposed to be here for us. We're not waiting on you. So like, we were early, so we'd like sit in the car and act like we're late. And we would walk in, and they say, order whatever you want, and it was like this lettuce tacos and like food we've never had before. And it's like, there's like, and we're just ordering it over and over, and more, bring out more. And the bill had to been $2,000, something crazy. And we were just enamored by the experience. And so, great meeting. We felt like they were courting us. They spent some money on us. They cared about us.
That's good. Step up from a nap.
Oh, big step up. So then the next meeting was with Atlantic. And they came out straight and said, if you want a lot of money, we're not giving it to you. This is a country club. You should want to be signed here. We've got the best in the business. And I was like, I'm not hearing this. I want money. What y'all talking about?
Love Mr. Chow.
It's like, give us the check. So I wasn't trying to hear none of their, country club, we've got the best in the business nonsense. And so we left that meeting and realized, we don't want to sign to Atlantic. And the last meeting was with Jive Records. We get off the elevator, and I felt like I was in a movie. I mean, hundreds of people clapping for us when we get off the elevator. Everybody in Travis Porter shirts, Travis Porter posters covering up Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears on the walls. Like, Travis Porter everywhere. Balloons. I mean, food. I mean, Travis Porter party.
Wow.
And I was like, this is who I want to sign to. Jive Records. Barry Weiss was there. The executives were there. Jeff Sledge, Neil Levine. Like, I was like, I know who I'm signing with. Boom. I go home. The fellas are going to go out to the club with like Universal, like one of the guys from Universal. I was like, go on out to the club. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Never have. So I just was going to go to the hotel and celebrate by going to sleep. And I'm in the shower, showering up, and I look out the curtain, and my phone's ringing. Like, who could this be? Like, it's like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. And I look out the curtain, pick up my phone. Diddy. I'm like, oh, Lord. I don't want to deal with this. So I put the phone down, don't answer. Showering up, phone's ringing again. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm not answering that. Again. I get out the shower, dry off, ready to get cussed out. I call him back. What's up, man? You're going to come to my city and you're not going to give me the respect to meet with me. This is New York. You're going to meet with Monty and Avery, and they don't fall for that. They gave you chicken on a stick at Mr. Chow's. People don't even eat it at Mr. Chow's anymore. He said that's mall chicken. And I'm thinking to myself, it was chicken on a stick. Like, wow, I thought it was cool. But the way he makes it sound is it was like not a popping restaurant anymore. He said this played out.
Yeah, that's why he's Diddy.
And then he says, you're going to let Jive throw you a pizza party? I'm like, it was a pizza party. Yeah, first of all, how does he know everything that happened today?
Yeah.
And then I thought this party was awesome. But when Diddy explains it, it was just a pizza party. It was like a 8-year-old's pizza party. There was balloons and like little pictures on the wall.
Yeah.
And he said, that's corporate stuff, man. Don't fall for that, Charlie. He said, have the respect to meet with me. Bring the fellas over to the penthouse. I'm like, nah, they're going out to the club. He said, have the respect. You're in my city. And I was like, okay. I mean, who doesn't want to go hang out with Diddy?
Yeah.
So I give the fellas a prep talk. I said, listen, no matter how cool this is, we're not signing with Diddy. They're like, okay, we're not going. So we pull up to the house, go up the elevator, knock on the door. And the most beautiful woman in the world, and it opens the door. Yeah. I mean, my jaw's on the ground. I'm drooling. It was Cassie.
Of course.
Oh, and I'm just like in love.
Yep.
And we walk in the apartment, and she's dragging a 4-foot bottle of Moet across the living room. She's like, do y'all want anything to drink? And, we're in there talking, and Diddy says to me and to the fellas, I want to take y'all out to the club tonight.
Oh, no.
And I said to him, I said, they're already going out with Imran from Universal.
Yeah.
He said, Charlie, let me talk to you real quick. I'm like, oh, Lord. I'm like, I've got to keep telling this man, because he's like striking out with me, but he's like wearing me down a little bit.
Yeah.
So he takes me over into the hallway by the door, puts his arm around me. Charlie, they can go to 2 clubs in one night. They'll be okay. I was like, man, but I already told Universal, like, it would be like undercutting them. I'm a man of my word. Yeah. He's like, Charlie, it's going to work out. Let me take him to the club. I said, okay. I'm like, y'all just go. I'm going to go back. I mean, it'll be all right. Yep. Universal will be fine. I didn't want to sign to them anyways. We're signing with Jive in my head. So I go back to the hotel, go to sleep. What can go wrong?
Oh, you didn't even go?
Oh, I don't like the club.
Yeah.
Never did.
Oh, man. That's pretty crazy, though, at like whatever age, 20. How old were you?
I was probably 20, 21.
20, 21 to like turn down a club night with Diddy. You know, like, because you're like, no, I'm good.
Well, I have oddly enough, like being in the music industry, I have a social anxiety. Probably got it from like being overweight my whole life, but like clubs and like social places scare me. Yeah. Like, I don't know why, they always did. Yeah. Unless I'm working. If I have something to do, but like just hanging out and like drinking, but no, I'd rather like, I need to talk to the DJ or I need to pass out CDs outside. Like, I'm comfortable with that. Yeah. So I'm like, what can go wrong? I go to sleep. I wake up in the morning.
Famous last words. What can go wrong? I went to sleep.
So I wake up to a text message from a friend of mine with a link, a picture of the New York Post. And I'm like, oh, no. It reads, Travis Porter signs to Diddy.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, I'm calling the fellas, and they're asleep because they were out all night. I'm calling them. But one of them finally wakes up. I'm like, what happened last night? I just saw a New York Post on it. They said, nothing happened. I said, what do you mean? Look at this. And come to find out, Diddy just has his ways. He has a DJ say a certain thing on a microphone. Then he calls a certain somebody to publish art. He didn't want to be left out of the mix. Yeah. Like Travis Porter at the time was the hottest group coming out of Atlanta. Yeah. He didn't want to be left out of the mix. Yeah. He was in the mix. Jive Records calls me and is like, y'all just signed to Diddy? I'm like, no, we didn't. I promise.
Damn, he's good.
He's good.
He's good.
He's good. So there we are. About to do the deal with Jive Records, $2 million deal.
Mm-hmm.
Big. And our record, now, granted, I didn't have money to support the record at radio. I worked it all the way top 20 by driving around to radio stations.
Mm-hmm.
But the record label negotiations took 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
All the little fine details, no 360. Also, it was a great deal.
Yeah.
Amazing, dream deal. And then the record started falling at radio. Went from like number 19 to 22 to 25 to 30. And I don't have the money to prop it back up.
Yeah.
And Jeff Sledge called me. I remember I was at Travis Porter's little studio. He calls me and says, Charlie. I said, what's wrong? What's wrong? He said, man, I just got word from my higher ups that that they got cold feet and they want to pull out of the deal.
Uh-huh.
I just start screaming.
Yeah.
I'm like, how could you do this? Like, oh, we are almost done with the contract. Like the whole deal is pulled out from under us.
Yep.
The record's falling at radio. They got cold feet. Our shows are starting to slow down. Now we don't have this money. All the pressure from our families, like, they're looking at me like, why aren't my sons rich? I'm like, they're about to be. They're about to be. We're about to close the deal.
Yeah.
Deal falls through. I'm screaming and hollering. And I remember I was at the studio with this guy named Mr. Hankey. He's a record producer.
Uh-huh.
And he says, there's this new kid I just met. He mixes records, and he's super cheap, $50 a record. So, boom, go over to a studio to meet him. And he walks outside, a guy named Marcus.
Uh-huh.
He walks outside, and there's all this pain in his eyes. I'm like, you okay, man? It's my first time meeting him.
Yeah.
He said, nah, man, I'm not doing too well. And something told me to give him $500 instead. I owed him like $150.
Yeah.
Gave him $500 instead.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I want to give you a job. Travis Porter needs an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
I would pick him up from the studio. He was living in a studio, homeless.
Uh-huh.
He was sleeping on a couch. Pick him up every day, take him to our studio, and one day he brought a keyboard. And like we'd pick on him. You know, like, you know, we gave him a job. They said, we'll just pick on him.
Yeah.
I said, what you got a keyboard for? He said, you know, I kind of make beats sometimes. It's like, man, you don't know how to make a beat.
Uh-huh.
He said, yeah, let me try. Let me play you the very first beat he made.
Please. Please do.
Check this out. The very first beat he made
Oh, man.
was this right here.
You wanna see some ass? I wanna see some cash. Keep them dollars coming.
Oh,
Top 10 record in
Play it
the
a little
country.
longer just in case any of the listeners. I want that hook to kick
And
in.
that's gonna make me dance. And that's gonna make me dance. And that's gonna make me dance. Make it rain, tree.
There it is.
Make it rain, tree. Make it
Oh, man.
First,
So what, like he made it in the studio?
he
Like
just
while you
made
were-
it right there. Boom. Live in the studio. Then he made another beat after it. This was the second beat he made.
Damn it.
Top 10 record. I remember we dropped the song Make It Rain. I'm going through the toll booth in Atlanta, Georgia 400, and I called Jeff Sledge and I said, I'm about to fuck up Atlanta with our new song. You're going to want to sign us again.
Yeah.
And he said, really? Oh, okay. Like, I hope so. And because I knew it was a hit. I
Yeah.
just knew it. Boom. Song started taking over the city.
Mm-hmm.
Jive Records calls back. That song went top 10 on our own without Jive Records.
Uh-huh.
Jive Records calls us back, gives us the deal a couple months later.
Uh-huh.
Marcus, the homeless guy who made the beat,
Yeah.
guess what he went on to do?
Give it to us. Damn it, Marcus.
These are
the stories you like to hear. You like to hear Marcus isn't doing too well. He walks out. He's homeless. Next thing you know,
he discovered an artist. Have you ever heard of this artist before?
Go ahead. We'll let this play out. Is Marcus first?
First.
Ah, Son of a bitch.
Marcus went on to discover Iggy Azalea and Post Malone.
Damn it. I didn't know those were first beats, those original
Oh,
Travis.
yeah.
Damn.
He's given me, I think, between Travis Porter and 2 Chainz, he's given me like 3 or 4, no, at least 4 or 5 top 10s.
Jesus Christ.
So
Life worked out for good old Marcus.
it did. It definitely did.
Holy cow.
So Travis Porter, great man, and I remember, like, we're set. We got the record deal. Everything's going good. Me and my business partner's teching out. You know, we want to build out our management company. Like, we want to grow. Like, Travis Porter's on fire. And I remember we were invited to this music video set with Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
And it's my first time ever being around him, like a superstar like Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sitting there looking at him, and it's like, wow, like,
He's like an alien.
it's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
Wayne.
Because especially at that time, he was just the biggest thing in the world.
In the world.
Yeah.
And I look over to the right, and this guy walks in the room. And the whole atmosphere in the room changed. It was totally different than when Lil Wayne walked in. 6'6", like a pharaoh, like an Egyptian pharaoh, gold necklaces, royalty. And I said, wow, now that is a superstar.
Yeah. And you didn't know who it was?
I did know everybody in Atlanta knew who it was. That's Titty Boy.
Yep.
But never been in his presence.
Yep.
Always one of the most fascinating beings.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he had everything going against him. He was signed to Ludacris for 10 years.
Yeah.
He was in a group that was falling off. His name was Titty Boy. He couldn't even say his name on the radio.
Yeah.
Like, they bleep out his name.
Yeah.
So I told my business partner, I was like, man, you know him, right? Tech, my business partner. He was like, yeah, man, I did a mixtape for him. You know, like, you know, he's dope. I was like, man, let's do this, man.
Yeah.
And we got him out of his deal with Ludacris. We asked him to change his name, just like Travis Porter. There's a few people who have asked to change their name.
Yeah.
Travis Porter, them hard hitters. Also Roscoe Dash.
Yep.
I got him
What
to
were they
change.
before? What was he before?
ATL.
Okay.
So he was in like my mom's basement. We recorded all the way turned up in my mom's basement on a $100 microphone into GarageBand.
Yeah.
And I mixed it myself. I
Yeah.
engineered it myself. It
Yeah.
went top 10 as well.
Yeah.
And I said the name ATL is not going to work.
Yeah.
Like nobody
Smart.
can Google it.
Yeah.
So we got him to change it to Roscoe Dash. And here I am with 2 Chainz. And he didn't even want us to manage him at the time. He laughed at us. Like we approached him. And he laughed.
Yeah.
Like he looked at us as like street team people.
Yep.
Like he had been around Ludacris and Lil Wayne's his whole life, Young Money's. And here I am, 20-year-old. Like he looked at my driver's license when I was checking him into a hotel one day.
Yeah.
He said, bro, you're under 21? Because I was under 21. I'm like, yeah? Freaking kid.
Damn
He's like,
it.
what is this?
Yeah.
And my business partner, he was just a mixtape DJ, DJ Techniques. And my other business partner, Al, he was a street dude from Savannah.
Yeah.
So he didn't look at us like industry folks.
Yeah. Yeah.
He wanted us to pass out his CDs. He wanted this other guy who manages like Metro Boomin now, Sunny Digital. His name is Rico Brooks. He wanted him to manage him. So he would put us all in a room together and like we would run circles around Rico.
Yeah.
To where Rico stopped coming to the meetings because we're laying out 30-day, 90-day game plans. We're getting them booked for shows. We're like boom, 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 boom. Like we're crushing it, but we wouldn't ask for permission.
Yeah.
I would stand outside clubs every night at 4 a.m. to pass out CDs myself. And I remember he walked out a Figure 8 nightclub on Campbellton Road, bad part of town. It's raining, and he looked over and he saw me passing out his CDs, like chasing people down, making sure I even spoke to people because they're drunk. So you got to say the right thing so they don't throw it on the ground.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he was like, okay, this is what it's like to have a manager.
Yeah.
And we took 2 Chainz from, you know, falling off, you know, rapper in a group, took him solo. And I mean, we worked it all the way up to winning the Grammys, world tours. I mean, we had a hell of a run.
Yeah.
And
Man, God bless you for that. Because I will say that he was probably the most, like, if there was an award for, like, revived back from the dead, like, I mean, the fact that he already had a career as a totally different name, as part of a group, like, that never happens. And then to reinvent himself, kind of. I mean, he's still the same guy, but change his name, And
Doesn't
then
happen
go
in
on and
music.
have a career that was like one of the biggest, still is, but like that doesn't happen.
In Atlanta, so there's like this big like water plant by one of my houses in Atlanta, and there's this big logo. Like the Atlanta logo is a phoenix, and Atlanta has a word. It's called the resurgence, because Atlanta was burned down by Sherman and resurged. It was Marthasville, and then it resurged as Atlanta. Well, here you have 2 Chainz, Titty Boy, who was burned down. And he was a resurgent. He was a phoenix that rose from the ashes and became 2 Chainz. And the same thing happened with me. I was CEO Charlie. And then the bigger my business got, I became over 305 pounds, diagnosed with a brain tumor. I'm completely burned down.
So can you tell me that story? Like, so, and is there anything to, this is what I want to try to do is like, or wrap my head around is, so you help rebrand 2 Chainz, help blow him up. He goes all the way to winning Grammys, being everything that we know 2 Chainz as. That's when we first met you, right? In here. What was your health and weight situation through that ride that you just painted for us?
Business for me was a trap. Now, remember at 8, I buried my dream of being an athlete. I love basketball, but I buried it to become a businessman. Business for me became a trigger for addiction that I couldn't get around. I was surrounded, the walls, the ceiling, the floor. I was surrounded by it because stress would lead to food. Deal making, taking people out to dinner, lunch, doing meetings would lead to food. And success and celebration would lead to food. So here I am, trapped with an addiction. And my family, they would worry about my danger, my life with the violence in hip hop. Like R.I.P. Bankroll Fresh, one of my artists got shot and killed at my studio. Young Dolph, another one of my artists, been shot at, hundreds of times. 2 Chainz, San Francisco, shot at. Me at my studio, I was breaking up a fight, got shot at. And I did a Google search one day. And I searched, how many gun deaths are there a year? And it said 22,000. I was like, wow, that's a lot. Like, I'm experiencing it. I'm dealing with it. And then I did a Google search. How many cardiovascular diseases, deaths, are there a year? 600,000. And I told my family, I said, listen, there's more violence going on in my kitchen than there is at my studio. And in all of our kitchens, 7 out of 10 Americans are overweight. I said, my health is going to kill me long before a gun will. Stop blaming hip hop. Y'all are picking the wrong things to be mad at. There's violence going on in each one of our kitchens because 600,000 trumps 22,000. And
let me ask you this, like, was you, like, so I'm guessing that it didn't matter. Like, the more you got stressed out, the more you would eat. The more you were winning and succeeding, the more you would eat. Right? So through that whole process, you just were continuing to put on weight, or?
Always.
Got it. So then at the peak, take me to the moment of, because also, like, when did you find out about the brain tumor? Like, where was the moment when you were like, something needs to change?
I'm at 2 Chainz' house. He had just bought a house here in Los Angeles. Sleeping in his guest bedroom. And I woke up. And the room just started spinning. And I thought to myself, oh, this isn't good. When I was in high school, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And it was always under control.
What did they tell you at that time? Like, it's something that you have,
it was
not a big deal, something like that?
Yeah, so at the time, I mean, I had pressure on my eye, and I would have migraine headaches every day in high school. I have to leave school right after lunch, the migraine would set in. I went to a doctor for years and said, oh, yeah, it's just migraines. Here's some migraine medicine. And it just never would work. And one day I got so fed up because I missed a high school basketball game because I was in such pain. And when I miss a basketball game, it's like I need to find a solution because I'm tired of feeling like this. So I stayed home from school and I went over to my grandfather's house and I said, Jiddy, I'm half Lebanese, so Jiddy is Arabic for grandfather. And I said, Jiddy, man, I need your help. I need to find a doctor. I can't deal with these headaches anymore. And he took me to Piedmont Hospital to an eye doctor because my left eye would always hurt. And I remember the doctor's name, Dr. Cantor Weiner. I'll never forget her name.
Mm-hmm.
And she looked into my left eye and she said, looks like you have a brain tumor.
Jesus.
I said, oh, wow. Like,
They can tell like that.
yeah, because it was wrapped around
Mm-hmm.
my eye and she could see it. And had an MRI. They put me on this medication. I was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. No worries.
Mhm.
No problems. But here I am at 2 Chainz' house, I don't know, 12 years later.
Yeah.
Wake up, the room's spinning. Get out of bed, go to reach for some socks, and I pass out.
Mm-hmm.
Go downstairs. I tell 2 Chainz, I was like, man, I'm scared. Like this is something crazy just happened. And deep down in my heart, I knew it had to be my brain tumor.
Mm-hmm.
I called my mom. I didn't tell her about this. I called my mom and said, Mom, I want you to come to LA and visit me. I just needed to be around her.
Yeah.
You know, because I didn't know if I was about to die or not. And I remember I Airbnb'd this place in Manhattan Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting on the couch. And something told me to just watch a documentary about veganism.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from the South. Like hip-hop, like being vegan, like that's weird. Something told me, watch this documentary.
Yeah.
And I watched it. And I thought back to when I was in high school and how I'd eat lunch and the migraines would come on.
Yeah.
And then here I am at 300 pounds, brain tumor. Supposedly I haven't gone to the doctor yet, but brain tumor is messing with me.
Yeah.
It's got to be the food, man.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be some imbalance in my body. I went vegan immediately. I flipped the switch. I remember my last meal was at Maestro's with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Smoked salmon bagel.
Yeah.
The last meal. And
You have good memory of the key moments. You know, The
Right.
names, the dates, and the smoked salmon bagels. And that was it. And did you know when you had it, like, this is it? This is my last
yeah.
meal?
Last meal.
Yeah.
And I knew I had to change everything in my life. I had to change the algorithm of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Just like in social media, if you like something,
Mm-hmm.
it now builds this whole world around you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the artificial intelligence says, oh, if you like this, we're going to give you all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And in my life, I had all this stuff surrounding me that wasn't good for me. It was killing me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like candy. It's like, it looks good, it tastes good,
Yeah.
but if you eat too much of it, you're going to get sick.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing happens to me on Instagram. I get addicted to it. It's too much candy. It looks good, it tastes good, but I get addicted and I get sick.
Yep.
So I needed to make a new algorithm in my life. And the only way to make a new algorithm is to delete and start over and then tell the artificial intelligence, show me this instead.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to like drama, which is positive content,
Mm-hmm.
instead of, big boobs, because if I like big boobs, it's going to show me more big boobs.
Yep.
If I like drama, it's going to show me more positive content,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I had to create a new algorithm in my life. I got rid of meat. I got rid of dairy. I got rid of television. I took a 1-year break from social media.
Mm-hmm.
And I also approached my business partners, and I approached 2 Chainz, and I said, I want to retire. I want to completely walk away from the business. And they thought I was a little crazy or losing my mind,
Uh-huh.
because they said, well, what do you want to do? Because they cared about me. They
Yeah.
genuinely cared. I said, well, I want to be an athlete.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And I said, this isn't my practice life. This is my only one.
Yeah.
And I have to build something that's going to save my life.
Yeah.
When I was 8, I created a character for myself that made me a successful businessman.
Mm-hmm.
It was a superhero named CEO Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am. I want to go back to my childhood dream. So I want to create a superhero for myself that's going to save my life. And his name is Charlie Rocket.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be an athlete. And they gave me their blessings. I walked away from the business, having no idea how it would work out. But I knew I wanted to do an Ironman. I wanted to pick the most difficult thing I could think of.
Yeah.
I lost 130 pounds.
And did you that day set goals? Like, I want to do an Ironman. I want to do. Did you have those?
I made a contract to myself,
What
and I
was
put
it?
it on
What
my
were the-
refrigerator.
What was the length?
It was like 5 things.
Uh-huh.
It was like contract to myself, complete Ironman, become top 1% of athletes in the world.
And was it by a certain time?
It was like a 2017
Got it.
goal.
That's
like,
right. Tell me the other ones.
It was like, reduce budgets, like, save money,
Yeah.
things like that. Like me being a millionaire music manager, like I moved in with 4 roommates. Like I was like completely, humbled because I knew I needed to save money if I was going to chase my dream of being an athlete, because I don't know how I'm going to make money.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was going to become a Nike athlete and be in Colin Kaepernick commercials.
Yeah.
At the time, I just knew I wanted to chase my dream.
Yeah.
And I lost 130 pounds, did 5 marathons. I completed an Ironman in New Zealand. I biked across America, and I made this fan-made Nike commercial where here I am, a common man athlete, not exactly like, fast or talented or strong or not any of that. But I read in Nike's mission statement, if you have a body, you're an athlete. I was like, that sounds like me.
Yeah.
But Nike's athletes that I see on TV are so perfect.
Yeah.
I was like, there are no athletes like me. And I said, there's going to be a common man athlete that changes sports.
Yeah.
Because 7 out of 10 Americans are overweight. There needs to be an athlete for those guys.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to do it. And I said, well, what do Nike athletes have? They have commercials. I said, well, I'm going to make a commercial. And Nike commercials are inspirational. So I'm going to tell my life story.
Yeah.
And I put at the beginning of it, Dear Nike, I hope you see this. And I hope this inspires millions. I put out the commercial.
On YouTube?
YouTube, Instagram,
Yeah.
Facebook.
And did you have like a big following at this time?
No, just, maybe 30,000 followers
Yeah.
on Instagram. And within 3 days, got 1 million views.
That's insane.
Nike calls me and says, we don't know who you are, but you have our entire campus in a frenzy. We want to fly you up to Beaverton.
Oh, man.
And I'm losing it. I'm jumping around like an animal. They tweeted my video. I'm just like it's real. Like I said, I have a notebook that I keep every day called the Quantum Possibilities Notebook.
Yeah.
And I believe in the law of attraction.
Yeah.
I believe that, quantum physics states that we're not separate, that atomic particles are really energy. It's waves.
Yeah.
So if things are waves, then that means somewhere out there we're all collided.
Yep.
It's like you take 3 different rocks, drop them in a pond. Yes, those rocks are separate, but the waves that come off of the rocks are entangled.
Yep.
So I always believe that I'm entangled with something out there that I want. I just have to strengthen the connection so that it can come to me.
Yep.
And I'd write in my Quantum Possibilities notebook every day, Nike wants to work with me. I will be in a commercial with LeBron and Serena.
You would write that?
Oh, every day. And I still have the notebooks. I have all my notebooks dating back to when I was about 11 years old.
Yeah.
So when you walk in my house, there's whiteboards everywhere and notebooks everywhere. Because I want to write things down, because my goal isn't just to dream big, but believe big.
Yeah.
I actually drink my own Kool-Aid. I actually believed I could be a Nike athlete.
Yeah.
As far-fetched as it is, being 40 pounds overweight and not exactly being an athlete professionally. But I said, I want to be in a commercial with LeBron and Serena. Nike brings me in to this boardroom. There's these TVs everywhere with me on them. And they said, you have inspired us to take our company in a new direction. And these are the big bosses. And I was like, me? And they were like, yeah, anything you need, Charlie, just let us know. I then bike across America. When I get done, I get a phone call from Nike and said, we've been working on something big. The 30-year anniversary of Just Do It is coming up, and we want you to be a part of it. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm actually going to be in a Nike commercial.
Yeah.
The dream came true. Everything I wrote down in the notebooks came true.
Yeah.
As far-fetched as it was, and how people thought I was crazy, and how 2 Chainz didn't understand what I meant when I said I wanted to be an athlete when I retired. But here I am, about to be on the biggest platform ever. And that commercial that they included me in was the Colin Kaepernick commercial.
Yeah.
And they titled that commercial after a fan-made Nike commercial I made for Nike called Dream Crazy. So when you go on YouTube, there's 2 commercials called Dream Crazy. There's mine that I made, and then there's theirs that they made that I'm starring.
Damn it, Charlie. And that one just now came out, right?
Yeah,
like
a couple months ago.
And for the record, LeBron and Serena were both in it.
It came true. Yes, 100%. And you can't make this stuff up. You just can't make this stuff up. I've got all the notebooks to prove it.
Man, that is incredible. God damn it, Charlie. Okay, let me ask you this. So I'm guessing that when you, shortly after you passed out, your mom came out here, you decided you were going to make a life change. You must have went to the doctor, right? Mm-hmm. And they told you, did they just reaffirm what you thought was true?
100%.
Like you're killing yourself?
Yeah, so brain tumor had grown, wrapped around left optic nerve, applying pressure to the artery that goes into my brain, and also started corroding the top of my spinal cord.
And did they pretty much say, lose weight or?
No. Here's medicine. That's not working for you, so we need to jack you up to higher levels.
Yeah.
And the one side effect of this is it affects your heart valves. Got a heart murmur. Y'all aren't about to screw up my life. And they say you have to be on this the rest of your life. Medicine worked great for years. Was I undoing the medicine with my health? I think so.
Yeah.
But my body is completely balanced now. I'll have the brain tumor the rest of my life, but it's shrunk.
Yeah.
Like it gets a pituitary tumor, so it's all about the hormones. So I was thinking all those years, all the fake food I was eating, like the process and the meat and the hormones. It's like, yeah, if I have a pituitary problem, that's the hormone gland, and I'm eating all this fake stuff that's jacking up my hormones. Yeah, no wonder there's imbalance.
Yeah, makes sense. And then my other question is, so then you go and you say, okay, I got to make a life change. I'm going to be vegan. Are you still vegan?
Oh,
Jesus. Yeah. So I'm going to be vegan. What was do you remember the hardest moment? Because I'm sure that process of like going from being 300 pounds to running one marathon has to be like, did you get out and start trying to run and it was just miserable and you're running like a mile at best, and then you know what I mean? Like, what would take me through a little bit of that process of like the grind of getting from that version of Charlie to Charlie Rocket?
There's 2 ways I look at it. Yes, it's hard, but how was I able to get myself to do it? I always tell, and I've done this my whole life with business and with what I've done recently with my health, is I always say it's gonna be easy.
Yeah.
When I was training for the Ironman, I pulled out this Ironman training program, and it says run this many sprints at this heart rate, and then this many laps in the pool at this stroke, and then do this stroke for this many laps, and then this biking with this incline, and I was just freaking out. Now that sounds hard.
Yeah.
I looked at the bottom, and I said, how many hours a week does an Ironman need to train? It says 14. I said, 14? That's 2 hours a day. When I was 8, running around the park for 2 hours wasn't hard, or riding my bike with my friends for 2 hours wasn't hard, or going to the pool on the weekend and swimming all day for a couple hours, that wasn't hard. I'm going to train like an 8-year-old. Like, I'm going to tell myself it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
Just like I said, I'm going to be a manager. I'm going to be the best in the world. Like, I literally drink my Kool-Aid. I'm a delusional optimist. Because our minds, they have this power to play tricks on us. They can analyze things. Our hearts, they have intelligence too, but our hearts don't know how to play tricks on us. Have you ever heard somebody say, follow your mind?
Oh, wait, no.
It sounds weird, right?
Follow your heart.
Follow your heart.
Yeah.
We instinctively know to say, follow your heart, because our heart has intelligence. Point at yourself. Not this. Wouldn't this be weird? If like you pointed at your head, like, hey, point at yourself.
Yeah.
Like, oh, here, like, no, that's weird. Like, no, I point here.
Yeah.
Like, we do that. Our hearts have this intelligence. So when I tell myself things are going to be easy, it shuts off my brain from analyzing, getting in that paralysis of what can go right, what can go wrong. And it allows my heart to take control of the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
So anything I do, I go into it as a delusional optimist. Like, oh, this is going to be easy. A whole bunch of other people did it. I mean, why can't I? Like, even to the point when something's going bad, I'm like, oh, I'm on the Titanic, it's sinking. I'm like, oh, the lifeboat's right there. I mean, I'm going to be just as dry on the lifeboat as I would be on the big boat.
Yeah.
Dry as dry. You know, like, we're all right.
Yeah.
You know, like, but that delusional optimism, like, I always look for winning streaks. I have a little life hack, and they laugh at me every morning. Every morning, same thing. I go to Starbucks, and I order my double shot of espresso on ice, splash of almond milk, and 2 stevias. And the guy at the cashier says, "Oh, that'll be $2.67." I say, "All that happiness for only $2.67? I'm on a winning streak because I'm gonna be way happier after that than before that. And some people, they spend millions of dollars on happiness. I'm spending $2. I'm on a winning streak." And I say it every morning, and they laugh at me, but I'm literally identifying that I'm on a winning streak.
Yeah.
Because coffee makes me happy.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm getting it for $2. Yeah. So then when I catch the green light, I'm like, I'm on a winning streak. And then I like walk across the parking lot like I didn't get hit by a car. I'm on a winning streak. I'm literally looking for my winning streak all the time. So yeah, even when things are bad or challenging around me, I'm in this delusional space of optimism, and that's what actually makes me keep going. Yeah. I like try to operate like an 8-year-old as much as possible. Yeah. Like the other day, I was trying to envision 2019, like come up with a game plan. I was drawing blanks. Yep. So you know what I did? I sat on the floor. Because when we were children, we had imaginations. And we would always sit on the floor. And we would make up these fake worlds in our head with a toy car and like we could see things, but we would always sit at the floor. And when we grow up, we don't sit on the floor anymore. So when I want to spark my imagination again, I go back to being a kid. Let me sit on the floor. And I started drawing pictures in my notebook, my quantum notebook, and I came up with a vision for 2019. So I try, even as a grown 30-year-old man, the more I operate like a kid, the more successful I become. That's why I was able to walk away from hip-hop. Oh, I'm going to be an athlete. Like you, because as a kid, what do parents say? You could be whatever you want to be. But then like a grown man say, I want to be an athlete at age 28 and 300 pounds. It's like, you shouldn't do that, Charlie. But I just want to be a kid as best as possible. There was, on my Dream Machine tour bus, when we biked across America, this big tour bus that everybody could write their dream all over. And there was this one kid, we were just kind of not laughing at him, but we laughed at this dream. We thought it was cute. And he writes on it, and it's even hard to read the handwriting. He's so young. Like, he said, I want to be a police officer in space. And we're like, oh, look at this cute kid. You know, that's such a cute dream. And 2 months later, President Trump announces a space force. He literally announces that they're launching a space force. And this kid who just had this dream knew more than us adults who thought it was just cute. But that made sense to him. Being a police officer in space made sense to the kid. And we were like, oh, that's unrealistic. Well, guess what? You can freaking do it now.
That's so true.
But there's something about those dreams that are just true. That's how major things get done. When we get out of our heads and we let our hearts take over.
And did you because you also seem, I didn't spend much time with you when I saw you last time, but you just seem to the best way that I know to describe it is it seems like you sort of found who you really are. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. Because when I remember you, you were super friendly and whatever, but when I compare that guy to this guy, they're two totally different guys, and this guy's way happier. Did you feel depressed in that time, or were you always I guess what I'm trying to wrap my head around is this: were you always super optimistic and always saying I can't stop winning when you're running across the street and not getting hit by cars and drinking your coffee, or is this something that you kind of honed and own a little bit more now? So
I was optimistic in business then, but in life, no. I was angry. I was at war. Being CEO Charlie in business, I was at war constantly.
With what?
I mean, competition. you know, artists getting shot, you know, just winning. Like we're fighting. Like, and I'm a competitive person. But I mean, I loved being in hip hop. I miss it, but I couldn't be honest.
Yeah.
Like you can't be in hip hop and like say like, yeah, I have like social anxiety. I'm afraid of clubs. Or I'm depressed, or I have a binge eating disorder. Like you can't say that. So when I reconciled my life and walked away and admitted everything I've been dealing with, you know how much freedom it gave me when I could admit, yeah, I've got a binge eating disorder. Yeah, I deal with depression. Yeah, like right now, like I'm in the first relationship of my life.
Really?
Like I have a girlfriend. I'm 30 years old, but like in hip hop, it's like, nah, we don't do relationships.
Yeah.
Like we gotta grind. Like we don't have time for all that. Like, you know, I just got to reconcile my entire life, and it brought out crazy amounts of happiness. And I'm chasing my purpose and my dream. And I believe God wanted me to go do the hip hop thing, so I could learn how to market and become one of the best marketers in the world. So that when he brought me over to the helping people space, I know how to do it cool.
Yeah.
Like it's not corny, it's not lame. You know, people actually listen when I talk because it's not just some self-help, blah, 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 blah. So I believe it was all for a reason. You know, CEO Charlie was supposed to exist to tell those stories and to teach those lessons.
Yeah.
And Charlie Rocket has to exist to live the transformation that will give people hope.
Yeah. Damn it, Charlie. Let me ask you this. What about a daily routine? Like I like the notebook. I'm a big fan of writing down your goals. Like I recorded myself saying my goals. I listen to them every single morning. Affirmations, meditation, any of that stuff. What is your daily routine to keep yourself focused? And what do you, on top of that, what do you do if you start to feel yourself slip? Like we all have bad days, bad weeks, bad times when we don't believe in ourselves and we think.
I'm in a slip mode right now.
Currently?
Yeah, currently. When I'm most focused, I wake up at 5:30. I have a target I want to hit. It's like I fly out of bed. I have this like purpose-driven morning. And then I have phases like right now where I'm like a little lost in the sauce. Like I don't have a fitness goal I'm trying to achieve. I just got done running the Chicago Marathon a couple months ago, and it's like I need to take a break. I did Ironman, biked across America, and a marathon this year. It's like I got to rest, but that has kind of got me lost in the sauce because I don't have a mission for fitness, so I'm not waking up as early. And, you know, there are days I don't eat as healthy. Like I put on like 5 pounds, and it's like, yeah, like I'm not perfect. I have my good moments, my bad moments, but sometimes when I'm having the bad moments, how I do is I'm like, oh, I'm just pulling the slingshot back. It's just rest. It's like the superhero who's like in the cave, like resting until the world needs to be saved. Like I just like reframe it as that. But like this morning, I started writing in my Quantum Possibilities notebook, and I got distracted by something, and I stopped. Like I shouldn't have been distracted. Like, you know, I had a Cliff Bar this afternoon, and that's healthy. But I know that doesn't help me lose weight. Like I want to eat more like living food, you know, not things that can sit on shelves for 4 years. But, you know, it's like, you know, you have days, whatever. But I do want to snap into a more focused version of myself like I'm familiar with. But I'm also very familiar with this. I'm not perfect all the time. People might be listening or watching and be like, man, that guy just got it figured all out. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I don't have it all figured out because I'm honest about my problems. I'm honest that I'm still 40 pounds overweight. I'm honest that I haven't lost any weight this year, despite doing an Ironman, banking across America. I struggle with things. So right now is just one of those times where I want to be more focused. I'm focused, but I want to be more focused, but I'm just kind of lost in the sauce.
Yeah, it's so important to admit that, man. I think a lot of people look at people like you. They look at the people we see on Instagram, on podcasts, on whatever, and they do think it's like perfect or nothing. And I think that when people fall off and go through a bad phase, what could just be a bad phase turns into like a full fall off or, you know, a full valley into no man's land because you couple just being off with feeling bad that you're off, and that puts you into just out of here, right? Then you start thinking you're a loser, thinking you can't do this, thinking whatever, as opposed to just letting yourself go through those phases and not beating yourself up about it. And then what about like, How's the quantum notebook work? Do you write it? You write every day? Do you have any schedule? Do you read it every day? Is there anything to that? Like how you practice the law of attraction? And stuff?
So yes, I believe if you want to attract something, you got to believe bigger. For example, like just wanting something is like operating in the head, you know, and the scientists, they have measured the field that comes off of the head, and it reaches about 3 feet. And they measure the field that comes off of the heart. It reaches at least 8 feet. That's if the instrument, you know, it might reach further, but the instrument reads 8. And I love quantum physics. There was a experiment that and I just talked about this in my podcast episode I released this morning. So the government, the military, the U.S. military did an experiment where they took a man and they swabbed his blood cells, put it in a petri dish, had the man go in a different part of the building and watch an emotional video. They hook an instrument up to him to read the energy coming off of him, and they have an instrument reading the petri dish, which is his blood cells, in a different part of the building. When he gets emotional, it spikes. The petri dish spiked at the same exact pattern. They're spiking together even though they're not connected. Well, quantum physics states that a piece of matter is not a piece of matter. It's really energy. It's a wave. So an atomic particle can be over here and over there at the same time and be affected by each other. This is not myth. This is not hocus pocus. Just start researching quantum physics. And that tells me, and they did that all the way up to 50 miles, and there was no time lag. They took the man up to 50 miles away, no time lag. So you can, you know, go on forever. Like, an atomic particle is connected. There's nothing, we're not separate. We are connected. So if I'm connected to the things I want already, we're all waves of energy. So that means somewhere out there we're colliding with something we want. How do I strengthen that signal between me and the thing I want if I'm already connected to it? I just got to reel it in. So the first thing I did was I need a stronger signal. Like, we all hate like cell phone reception that sucks. Weak signal. I want strong signal. How do I get a strong signal? I eat more living foods, like high frequency foods. I look at food, is it dead or alive? If something's dead, like a Cliff Bar, low frequency. If I look at something that's alive, an orange, high frequency. So if I want my frequency to be higher, I need to eat more high frequency foods. That's the first thing. 2, get rid of all the negative energy like that's around you. That's like being in an elevator. Like, the signal just can't get out because you're surrounded by all this blockage. So it's like, when I got rid of all the negativity in my life, my signal can reach further. I'm not in an elevator when I got positivity around me. I write in my notebook, and I always write with the mindset of, it's already done, time just hasn't caught up yet. I always write in the mindset of, this is going to be easy. For example, I was trying to find a videographer here in Los Angeles, and I needed him to be great at music. I needed him to be great at scoring, color correcting. I needed him to be great at filming and editing. And everybody out here told me I was crazy. Like, Charlie, like, that's going to be really expensive. All those guys work for the big studios. Like, what you're talking about is insane. I was like, no, I need him to be like a good audio engineer too and like mix the audio. And they're like, Charlie, that doesn't exist. This is not Atlanta. And I'm interviewing people, and either they're $15,000 a month or they don't exist. And I was getting frustrated because I wanted to tell my story, and I didn't have a videographer to do it. So I wrote in my notebook. And why I wrote in an incomplete sentence on this day, not sure. But this is what I wrote. Today, I searched and found my videographer. It's easy. It's done. Quote, unquote. Sitting on my couch in my living room. And this man walks in my front door with a camera. Hanging out with my roommate. My roommate has never hung out with a videographer a day in his life. He like does like Whole Foods, natural food stuff. I'm like, you do videos? He's like, yeah, you know, like I'm like a freelancer dude. Like, I don't really like know how to pay the bills doing it, but you know, I try to get by. I was like, are you good? Kinda. And I was like, let me see some of your work. And there he is. Like, I was like, man, this is really good. I said, did you do this scoring? He said, yeah, I used to be in a rock band. You know, I went on tour. I was like, you color corrected this? He said, yeah, I do Da Vinci. I was like, so you film and edit? Yeah, I self-taught myself. I was like, bro, like, you're everything I've been looking for. He's the one. A week later, we filmed the fan-made Nike commercial that changed the face of Nike. And he's been with me ever since.
And you still work with him today?
Oh, yeah. I mean, but I sent out that connection.
Did you write it that day?
Oh,
and
I wrote it that day, and he walked in my front door of my living room.
Man, that notebook is powerful. Is that just a notebook from Staples?
Yeah, just CVS, yeah. So, but check this out. This happens all the time.
Yeah.
So, I'm talking to my friend George. George, I want to work with Oprah. Like, super big, ambitious goal. As big as, like, I want to be a Nike athlete.
Yeah.
I want to work with Oprah. He's like, keep dreaming big, Charlie.
Yeah.
2 minutes later, this lady walks by in the office. George recognized her. Her name is Anna. He said, Anna, come over here. Charlie, tell Anna your story. This is before I had any videos, before anybody knew about. I had just retired. I tell her my story. She pulls out a piece of paper. I said, what you writing down? She said, I'm about to meet with Oprah's people in about 30 minutes. They love stories like this. Well, Oprah's producer of 25 years produced my entire Bike Across America tour, all my give backs, everything I've done with television. Just like that. I asked George, and boom, here she came. But I would write in my notebook every day, like, I want to work with Oprah.
Yeah.
I wrote it down, and like, I feel energy. I'm connected. A few days ago, I was in Las Vegas. I actually talked about this on my podcast, and I just got done saying, like, I just got done throwing up, but I'm not sick. Like, people could tell, like, on the podcast, I sounded fine. Like, there was nothing wrong with me. I was in the bathroom, and I felt my phone ringing on my hip. So I reached down for it, and it wasn't there. I'm like, I could have sworn I felt my phone ringing.
Yeah.
So I get up, walk into the other room. Sure enough, my phone's on the desk in the hotel room, ringing. Who is it? My best friend, Scott. Pick up the phone. What's up, Scott? He said, man, I've been throwing up with the stomach flu the past 48 hours. I said, get the fuck out of here. I said, bro, like, I think I feel your energy. I'm super connected to him. He's who I biked across America with, did the Ironman with, like, my best friend.
Yeah.
And I said, bro, I just threw up for no reason. Nothing's wrong with me. Like, not sick. He had the stomach flu, but I felt his pain. And it's like, we're connected, bro.
Yeah.
Like, there's no doubt about it. Energy is transferable. And I could feel his pain, and I threw up. Yeah. And I felt my phone ringing, even though it wasn't in my pocket. Went over, he was calling me. It's crazy, stuff like that. Yeah. But when you understand quantum physics, it's no longer a secret.
Let me ask you this. Do you have a favorite? Is there anything that I can point the listeners to learn more about all that stuff? Favorite book? Favorite?
Man, yes. Greg Braden. Greg Braden is amazing. I've been lucky enough to have a quantum physicist, like, teach me this stuff. Yeah. To where I didn't have to read books. Like, I'm like have a mentor. Yeah. But there was this guy, he heard me talking, and all these crazy things were happening to me at the time. Like when I strengthened my signal, when I changed my diet and I got rid of negative energy, I was able to attract a lot of things. And he heard me talking. He said, "You're very quantum," and I was like, that sounds cool. What does that mean? And he was like, well, like, I could tell by the way you talk, like, you know how to attract things. I said, bro, like, the craziest things, but I haven't been wanting to tell anybody because I don't want to sound weird. Yeah. He's like, well, let me explain everything to you. Started teaching me about quantum physics. And it was like, oh, like, this isn't law of attraction, hocus pocus. Like, this is actually science. Yeah. Like, atomic particles don't need to be in the same place to control each other. Yeah. So, yeah, man, if I can just believe bigger, I can attract what I want. Yeah. Now, working, that doesn't mean you can sit in your house and do nothing, and be able to get things. Yeah. What work means to me is going out and strengthening the connection. So if we're already connected to what we want, anytime I do something towards it, it like sends waves to bring it to me. Like me making the fan-made Nike commercial should not have been able to get me a Nike commercial. Yeah, yeah. But it strengthened my connection to Nike. I didn't know them. Yeah. But just that one thing, and all these people who watched it put in their hearts and sent out their vibration because it touched them. So now there's all this vibration going to Nike that pulled it right on in. Yeah. But I took the step to work, but I didn't get the Nike deal myself.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
Yeah.
It was bigger than me.
Yeah.
It was me attracting it.
Yeah. Where do you go from here? What's in the book, the Quantum Notebook for 2019? Like, where do you've made such an impact. I think your story, because of the way you communicate and the type of person you are and what you did, your story really resonates with people, obviously, and it's blown up, and now you're kind of in this position. Everything you wanted came true. Where are you going from here?
Okay, so I'm doing it just like a rapper would.
Yeah.
Okay, so I haven't seen anybody in the motivation space do this, but I think that's why I was put here.
Yep.
So how do musicians work? They disappear for a year from being on tour, and they record an album. They basically create these stories and these songs for a year, and then they go out on the road and they tell their stories. And they travel for a year, touching as many people as possible. In the year after that, they go back in the studio and create the content. And the year after that, they tour.
Yeah.
That's the natural rhythm. And I was like, wow, in the motivation space, so many people just tell the same story over and over for the rest of their lives. I was like, how I'm going to do it is just like a hip hop artist or a musician. This year, I created my album.
Yeah.
I wrote a book. It's going to come out next year. Called The Life and Death of CEO Charlie. I biked across America. I learned all these things. I experienced so much. So next year, I'm going to go on tour.
Yeah.
And I'm going to speak. And I'm going to release books. And I'm going to tour just like an artist would. And then the year after that, I'm going to create some crazy life mission, experience something else for a year. The year after that, I'm going on tour and say, oh, this is what I experienced. These are all the stories and lessons I experienced. So anytime you see me live on a speaking engagement or a tour, I'll always have something new to talk about.
Yeah.
Because I'm always going to alternate my years. Experience, tour to talk about it.
Yeah.
Experience, tour to talk about it. This year was the experience year.
Yeah.
Next year, I want to go speak at the corporations, colleges, high schools, throw my own tours, do my own health retreats. I want to do it all.
Yeah.
And I want to share my energy with people.
Yeah.
If I held it in, it would be selfish.
Yeah.
I have to tell people what I've learned.
Hey, you're good at it, man.
Thanks, man.
You have a real gift.
Thank you.
Let me ask you this. You want to tell people what you've learned. If you could hop in a time machine, travel back. I'm going to say travel back to when Charlie figured out decided that he was CEO Charlie. He's 8 years old. He said, screw this backpack. Give me the briefcase. Give me the suit. And you could share what you've learned with that version of yourself. What would you tell young Charlie?
In the context of maybe saving him from some of the problems?
Yeah, I think the goal when I say that is like what did you spend a lot of unnecessary time doing, worried about, stressing over? What would you tell to just say, hey, let me speed this up a little?
There would only be one thing. This answer is going to suck for the audience. Sorry. So, dear audience, I would not actually give young Charlie any advice because how I look at it, and this is super cheesy, so everybody please forgive me, but there's a lot of things that went wrong in my life. I made a lot of mistakes. But a negative is a line that goes like this. And a negative knocks you down. But when you get up, it turns into a positive. I have a brain tumor. That's a negative. Knocks me down. But when I got up, it helped me get a Nike deal.
Yeah.
If I didn't have a brain tumor, if I wasn't 305 pounds, those things would those were my tools to being successful.
Yeah.
Me failing or getting fired from Vistoso bosses taught me don't sign a record deal too fast. So this that helped me. So I wouldn't change a thing. I would be like, Charlie, just make all your mistakes. Just make sure you get up, which I did. So I wouldn't change a thing. But the only regret I have in my life is when my grandfather died. And I've never told this story before. My grandfather, his name was Charlie. It's who I was named after. I'm Charlie Jabley III. And he was smooth, man. He was smooth. I wanted to be just like him.
Yeah.
He had the suit. He had the wavy hair. And he had all the old ladies at church, going crazy over him.
Yeah.
He was a class act. So I wanted to hang around him. So I said, Diddy, I want to go to church with you. Nobody in my family went to church with him. I'm in middle school. This is around the Judge Hatchett time. And I want to get baptized. So I go to like Sunday school, and in the Catholic Church, there's 7 sacraments. And he was Catholic. So I was like, you know, whatever church you go to is what I want to go to. You know, like it doesn't matter to me. I just want to hang around you. So the first sacrament is baptism. The second sacrament is confirmation. The third sacrament is Eucharist. I did those 3. Boom. Sunday school, boom, boom. My grandfather passes away right at the time I'm starting to get into hip hop in high school. And I remember I bought a 1979 Cadillac Coupe de Ville, 20-inch rims. He looked at me, he said, "That's for the birds." I was like, "What you mean, Diddy? Like, this is cool." He said, "That's for the birds. Save your money." I was getting unfocused. I was focusing on girls. He got sick. He had cancer, and I was there was this one girl I was obsessed with, and while he was dying, I wasn't spending any time with him, and I regret that. But my grandfather always told me he had a plan for me. He said, "You're going to save a lot of lives in this world," and I got off that track. And he, right before he died, he saw me get unfocused, and I was going into this world that he wouldn't have approved of, just like with the flamboyance and the money spending and the sin going on with it. But that's the world I was going into. And I stopped at that third sacrament. The next 12 years, I go through hip hop. I get sick. I'm almost dead. And I realized I made a mistake. You know what the fourth sacrament is? Reconciliation. I reconciled my life. I said, I made a mistake. I'm coming back over here. I'm going to help people now. You know what the fifth sacrament is?
What?
Anointing the sick. I biked across America, giving away houses and cars and helping people who are in trouble and sharing my knowledge and mentoring and helping people who are in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what the sixth sacrament is?
What is it?
Marriage. Guess who just got into a relationship
Look at
for the
you,
first time
man.
in his life? Like, my grandfather brought me back on track. I got off track.
You took a 12-year break.
Took a 12-year break.
But man, you came back strong.
Yeah, man.
Because at that age, if you would have just followed through all 6, wouldn't have made as much of an impact. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
You needed that break.
That's right. So it's just crazy. He had a plan for me this whole time.
Yeah.
And the only regret I had was losing focus,
Yeah.
you know, on him when he was dying.
Yeah.
So if I could go back and say anything, it would be that. But that story of the sacraments and everything, I didn't realize it until this year. When I was writing my book, The Life and Death of CEO Charlie.
Yeah.
The person I'm writing it with, Jake Green, he's a 3 times New York Times bestseller. He was asking me about my grandfather, and when we were talking about the Catholic Church, he realized he was the one who discovered, like, brother, like, you're following the sacraments. You didn't stop. You just took that 12-year break,
Yeah.
but you're completing almost all the sacraments
Yeah.
in the exact order.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's my grandfather.
Yeah.
He's guiding me.
So good. I think we did it, Charlie.
That was a good one.
That's a hell of an ending.
Yeah, man.
Tell people where to find you. Tell people where to get more of this. Like, where you have a podcast?
I just released it this week.
You just
It's
started it?
brand new.
And
yeah.
you're doing 1 a week, or how are you going to do it?
3 a week.
Really?
Yeah.
And is it just you on most of them?
Yeah, it's just me right now. I mean, I'm going to interview people, but I got like 70 episodes in my head.
That's great. And
I have
you
so
just
many
talking about like stuff you went
Stories,
through. And,
theories, marketing. Like, I've got so many stories, man. I've
Yeah.
never told.
Yeah.
I've been holding everything in. I didn't know it could affect people.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. I always loved self-help. Like, my whole life, like, books I would read would be self-help books. But then I realized there was one thing that changed my life. And it was a movie.
Yeah.
Moana.
Really?
Oh, like, it was like a story of my life. Like, other than I'm not a little island girl, but she was like called to go save the world. Everybody said hold her back. And then when she's out there, like, the universe found a way to always save her.
Yeah.
Like, the water would like put her back. And I'm like, that's me.
Yeah.
You know, so I realized, like, stories can change somebody's entire life.
Yeah.
That movie saved my life. I was like, what if I go tell stories and people like you can help me pull out the lessons
Yeah.
of the story, so the person watching or listening can be like, wow, like, I want to change my life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge. Huge. And you're really good at it. So what's the podcast called?
Charlie Rocket Show.
And it's out now.
It's out now.
Everywhere. iTunes, Spotify, stuff like that?
It's been great all week, man. It's been in like the top 30. Like, it's just like, I'm getting great reviews. I've got like almost 1,000 reviews in the first week. Like, everybody's so supportive and they just love the stories.
Yes, that's huge.
So that and Instagram.
Yep.
That's where I hang out.
And what's the Instagram?
At Charlie on Instagram.
How'd you get that? Have you always had that?
Law of attraction, brother.
How long ago did you get it?
This year. Like, bro, like, this is crazy. So I tell my friend, I said, I think 2032 I'm going to run for president. And I want to run on a first name basis, like Oprah. Like, we don't have to say her last name, and we know who we're talking about. I said, I want to do that.
Yeah.
You're like, I could picture the sign in the yard, Charlie for president.
Yeah.
And a week later, I wake up to a DM from an employee from Instagram. She said, there's a name that has been deactive, and nobody has it, but I'm really inspired by what you're doing, and I want to give it to you. I called my friend. I said, that first name thing might be real. Guess who's got at Charlie? It's me. I'm the only Charlie in the world.
And that was it. You had it.
That's it. That was the whole beginning and the end of the story.
But I'm saying there was no charge. There was
No
just
charge.
like, I'm inspired by you. You take this.
Yeah, you take
You
it.
switched it over, and that was it.
Yeah. My name used to be CEO Charlie.
It's working. It's definitely working because I'm trying to think of the way that I look at like what you're doing from the outside, and it is just Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think most people, at least people that are in any way familiar with what you're doing, if you say like, oh, I'm having Charlie on the podcast today, they know who it is. You know what I
Off
mean?
to a good start. It's been a
Good
great
start.
year.
Yeah.
What I'm doing right now on my Instagram is like I archived every one of my posts,
Yeah.
and I'm doing this thing called The Greatest Year I Ever Lived. And it's going to be 31 posts, which is 31 memories of all the crazy things that have happened this year. So if new people are following me, they could see like a timeline in a very short 31 posts, like, chronological order of this crazy year I lived.
And so that's where all your focus is: Instagram,
And podcast.
new podcast.
Yeah.
There it is, man. And you got a book coming next year.
Mm-hmm. And I want to speak at everywhere there is to speak. I want to go share my energy.
Have you done that yet?
Yeah. So like Coach K and those guys brought me in to speak to the Duke Blue Devils, like motivate the team, basketball team, speak at high schools and stuff. Like I love speaking because I don't really have a speech. I have a story.
Yeah.
So it's like me telling stories is like, I don't have a slideshow presentation, but you're going to see pictures in your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I'm passionate about. I want to be the best storyteller in the world.
Yeah. You're well on your way.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. Thanks for coming and doing this, man.
Man, thanks for sharing your platform, man.
Absolutely.
Like, stuff like this is life-changing for people like me.
Yeah.
Because you have such a big audience, and like people like me who are just starting off, like we have to try to get our word out there, and it's hard doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
Like it's hard growing a following.
Yeah.
Like people don't realize like getting 100 new followers or 1,000 new followers on Instagram is so freaking hard.
Yep.
That when somebody like you shares a platform, it really gives birth to people like me.
And I'll tell you, bro, I'm lucky in the sense that like I did start it with this in mind, with what we're doing here in mind, but I didn't plan for how well it would go. I didn't plan for that it would become something that people wanted to be on, and how much I would personally learn from it. Like when you leave today, I'm going to be fired up. I'm going to be trying to think of health challenges for myself. Like it has benefited me in such a way that now my goal is to just get better at how I share it. Right? Like I want to get the best and the most out of you that people really connect with. That's my job, but thank you for coming and doing it.
Thanks for having me on, bro.
There it is.
That was dope.
We did it. Guys, if you like that and you want to see more like it, as well as vlogs, other web series, and all the random stuff that I'm doing here on YouTube, don't forget to click that subscribe button. You won't regret it, I promise.